Welcome the Lord's chosen. When your name starts echoing in rooms you've never entered, understand, the world has officially caught your scent. That's where you are right now, chosen one. Somewhere between myth and misunderstanding, a walking headline that never signed up for publicity. The talk of the town. Your name is doing push-ups in people's mouths while you're minding your business. Funny how the less you speak, the more they seem to know about you. You became the rumor that refuses to die. And honestly, you should charge rent for how often you live in their conversations. But let's be real. This isn't about popularity. It's about perception. How the moment you start evolving beyond their comprehension. They call a meeting about your existence. Science says humans are wired to fear what they can't label. Psychologically, that means the moment you stepped out of the ordinary file, you became an anomaly. Their instincts can't file away neatly. You confuse the predictable brain, and confusion breeds stories. They'll gather around your name like detectives at a crime scene, piecing together fragments that never happened. They'll say, "He's changed," without realizing that's the point. They'll whisper, "Something's up with her," while you're just outgrowing their limited version of you. It's hilarious, really. You become public property the moment you stop seeking public approval. So now, the city's alive with your echo. Eyes follow you, words trail behind you, rumors sprint ahead of you, and yet, none of them actually know you. They just feel the shift and panic, because deep down they sense what's really happening. A chosen one is surfacing, not for applause, not for validation, but as living proof that evolution has consequences, and some people will always confuse growth with guilt. Welcome to the stage, chosen one. The lights are uninvited, the audience is unprepared, but the show has already begun. Number 1, when they can't decode you, they declare you dangerous. People fear what they can't understand, and when you start moving differently, thinking differently, or refusing to fit the usual patterns, they don't try to learn you, they label you. It's easier for them to call you strange, arrogant, or fake than to admit you've evolved beyond their comprehension. The truth is, once your frequency changes, most people's perception of you starts lagging behind. They're still trying to analyze the old version of you while you've already upgraded twice. You stopped being predictable, and that's what unsettles them. You're no longer following the same emotional scripts they used to manipulate or measure you by. You don't explain every move, you don't chase validation, and you don't react the way they expect. Suddenly your silence becomes suspicious, your peace feels intimidating, and your confidence looks like rebellion. They can't place you inside their small definitions, so they brand you as the problem. In reality, you've just outgrown their vocabulary. It's not that you're acting different. It's that they can't decode the software you now operate on. Every word you say carries a new kind of weight. Every decision you make confuses people who only understand fear and conformity. You stopped living by the world's emotional currency, so they treat you like a financial crisis. To them, your self-control is coldness, your detachment is pride, and your focus is threat. But it's none of that. It's clarity. They'll call you dangerous, not because you harm anyone, but because your calm exposes chaos. Your presence reminds them how far they've drifted from authenticity. You stand as living proof that it's possible to think for yourself, and that alone feels like rebellion in a world addicted to group thinking. So they whisper, they warn, they label, all to avoid admitting the truth. They don't understand you anymore. And instead of trying to learn your language, they'd rather fear your silence. Number 2, your rise feels like a crime because it defies permission. You weren't supposed to rise, not according to the quiet expectations people built around you. You were supposed to stay manageable, predictable, and humble in a way that meant contained. The moment you started growing without their approval, you broke an invisible rule. The rule that says progress must be supervised. Society loves a success story only when it gets to play a part in authorizing it. But when you start succeeding without their blessing, your every move starts looking suspicious. People start treating your progress like an offense. They don't clap, they investigate. They'll ask questions they already know the answers to, just to find holes in your glow. Who helped you? What did you do? How come it's you? As if elevation automatically means manipulation. But what they're really saying is, you were supposed to ask for permission before becoming this version of yourself. You didn't. You just went ahead and evolved. That's what unsettles them. The independence. You didn't wait for a green light. You didn't need a committee meeting to validate your dream. You didn't need to be chosen by them because you were chosen long before they existed. In a world built on control, freedom is suspicious. Confidence looks like defiance, and success without their involvement feels criminal. They'll start treating your wins like you stole something, and maybe you did. Not money or fame, but your own narrative. You took back ownership of your destiny. You stopped waiting for applause and started walking like you already belong where you're going. That kind of energy rattles those who only move when told they can. So they'll gossip. They'll call you arrogant. They'll frame your rise as luck or manipulation. But the truth is simple. You refused to stay small for their comfort. You committed the unspoken crime of self-authorization, and in a world obsessed with permission, that's the boldest rebellion there is. Number 3, you're the headline they whisper about but can't publicly credit. Your name moves through conversations like smoke. Everyone's talking, but no one admits it. You've become a topic that travels faster than truth. The strange part is, most of them don't even dislike you. They're just confused by how you managed to do what they couldn't. They whisper because to speak your name openly would mean acknowledging your rise, and that feels too much like surrender. So instead, they pretend not to notice while secretly studying your every move. You've turned into both fascination and frustration. Fascination because your growth is undeniable, frustration because it didn't include their permission or participation. Some talk out of admiration, but disguise it as sarcasm. Others use your name as cautionary gossip to make themselves feel safer about their own lack of motion. Either way, your presence is being discussed, constantly. You've become the proof they can't publicly deny, but don't want to publicly validate. There's something uncomfortable about watching someone they once underestimated become impossible to ignore. It shakes their confidence in the hierarchy they built around themselves. You weren't supposed to be the story, yet here you are. The one they secretly scroll through, the one they mention with both envy and curiosity. You became a mirror, reflecting what they could have been if they had the same courage to evolve. And still, you owe no explanations. Let them whisper. Every quiet conversation with your name in it is confirmation that you're echoing beyond their reach. They may never give you credit out loud, but their attention already did. The fact that your existence needs to be discussed at all means you've broken past invisibility. That's what real impact does. It doesn't always show up in applause. Sometimes it shows up in whispers that can't stop repeating your name. You've become the unspoken truth people pretend not to see but can't stop looking at. Number 4, the spotlight isn't fame. It's surveillance. What most people call attention, you know as scrutiny. The moment your presence starts drawing eyes, it stops being admiration and turns into investigation. You're not being watched to be celebrated. You're being observed to be understood, dissected, and possibly discredited. Every gesture, every pause, every breath is studied like a clue to who you really are. The crowd isn't cheering, it's scanning. The same light that shines on you also exposes you, and that's the price of standing out. When you're chosen, curiosity around you becomes obsessive. People don't just see you, they monitor you. They'll replay your words, twist your tone, and analyze your silence as if it's a hidden message. You stop being a person in their eyes and start becoming a case file. That's what happens when your energy doesn't fit the template. They can't rest until they've decoded you. But here's the catch. They never will, because the essence of a chosen one isn't something you can summarize. It's something you can only sense. Your growth makes people uncomfortable because it reminds them that they too are being watched by their own conscience. So instead of facing themselves, they redirect the spotlight toward you. They'll look for cracks in your armor, hoping to prove you're not as powerful as you appear. But the irony is, the more they dig, the deeper your mystery becomes. They mistake your peace for pretense, your discipline for manipulation, your confidence for ego, because they can't comprehend that authenticity can exist without performance. Fame isn't what you're living, it's exposure. You didn't chase it, but your energy demands visibility. You shine because you carry clarity, and clarity always draws eyes. So don't flinch under the light. Let it do what it does. The watchers will keep watching and you'll keep becoming. In the end, they'll realize they weren't studying your weakness. They were documenting your evolution. Number 5, they study you like a suspect because you broke an unwritten law. You didn't commit a crime, but you broke something far more sacred to ordinary minds. The unspoken rule that says, stay average, don't outgrow the rest of us. The moment you started thinking beyond survival, the moment you chose purpose over popularity, you became suspicious. People who once clapped for you suddenly began watching you like detectives, piecing together a case. Your growth disrupted their comfort. And instead of being inspired, they took offense. There's a strange hostility toward anyone who refuses to live by the script. The script says, complain but never change, dream but never act, pretend but never evolve. You tore that script in half and started writing your own, and now they treat you like a criminal. They don't understand how you did it, so they assume you must have cheated. How could you move differently, think deeper, and remain calm in a world that thrives on chaos? In their eyes, that's not evolution, that's rebellion. So they watch. They gather information that doesn't exist. They question your motives, your past, your silence. They study you like an anomaly, as if they're trying to find the hidden flaw that explains your glow. What they can't accept is that your power came from discipline, pain, and clarity, not luck or shortcuts. You didn't bypass the system. You simply refused to let it cage you. Their curiosity isn't about truth, it's about control. If they can define you, they can contain you. But the chosen can't be contained. You broke their invisible chain of mediocrity, and now they whisper in confusion, calling it arrogance. They can't prosecute you, so they gossip instead. They can't undo your rise, so they invent stories to soothe their insecurity. In a world addicted to sameness, individuality looks like a threat. You didn't commit a sin, you committed originality. Number 6, jealousy isn't their emotion, it's their confession. Jealousy is never really about you, it's about what your existence reminds them of. When people start shifting around you, when their tone changes, when their smiles lose warmth, it's rarely random. It's a confession without words. They've seen something divine in you, a light they can't imitate, a peace they can't purchase, a confidence that doesn't ask permission, and it stirs something ugly inside them. You didn't offend them. You exposed what they've buried. Most people claim they want others to win, but only within limits. They want you to do well, just not better than them. They want you to rise, but only if it doesn't challenge their comfort zone. The moment your progress starts reflecting their stagnation, The same people who once supported you start competing silently. That sudden tension in the air, that awkward energy when you walk in, it's not attitude, it's admission. It's their soul saying, "You remind me of who I could have been." Jealousy is a mirror turned the wrong way. It doesn't really show them you, it shows them their own neglect. They could have cultivated greatness too, but they chose excuses instead of effort. So now your presence becomes proof that potential is real, and that realization hurts. It's easier for them to resent you than to rebuild themselves, but don't internalize it. Their envy isn't your fault, it's your evidence. It proves that you carry something rare enough to trigger recognition. People don't envy what's ordinary. They envy what's divine, what's undeniable, what quietly commands respect without seeking it. So when they start acting strange, don't dim yourself to make them comfortable. Their behavior is not rejection, it's revelation. Jealousy is their way of confessing, "You have something I lost the courage to chase." And that, chosen one, is confirmation that your light is still working exactly as it should. Number 7, you're the mirror that shows their stagnation. You didn't have to insult anyone for them to dislike you. Your existence alone was enough. Some people aren't upset by your words. They're unsettled by your progress. You became a mirror they never asked to look into, one that reflects every dream they abandoned, every version of themselves they stopped pursuing. Your growth didn't offend them because it was loud. It offended them because it was proof. Proof that the same 24 hours can birth transformation if used with intention. You didn't change to compete with anyone. You changed because staying still was killing you. But when you outgrew your old surroundings, the ones who stayed behind mistook your evolution for arrogance. They'll say you've changed, as if that's an insult, when really they're just confessing that they haven't. Growth confronts people with the truth of their own stillness. It makes them realize how long they've been circling the same patterns, repeating the same excuses, and blaming life for choices they never dared to change. Your progress highlights their procrastination. Your healing exposes their denial. Your discipline magnifies their distractions. You didn't plan to be anyone's lesson, but your presence naturally becomes one. That's why some people pull away when you evolve. Not because you hurt them, but because they can't stand what your improvement says about their comfort. Reflection burns the unready, so they'll criticize, joke, or create distance, hoping to protect themselves from the mirror effect you carry. Don't take it personally. You're not their enemy. You're their wake-up call. And not everyone wants to wake up. Keep shining anyway. You were never meant to stay small, just to keep others undisturbed. Those who truly want growth will see your rise as motivation. The rest will keep avoiding their reflection, pretending the mirror is the problem, not the message it reveals. Number 8, your glow became the alarm bell of their insecurity. The moment you started shining without apology, something inside them started ringing, not admiration, but alarm. Your glow exposed everything they'd been hiding under excuses and self-pity. It reminded them that confidence is earned, not borrowed, and that peace comes from inner work, not external validation. They don't actually hate your light. They hate what it reveals, the parts of themselves they've neglected for too long. You became living evidence that it's possible to change, to level up, to become grounded after chaos. And instead of letting your example inspire them, they let it irritate them. Your glow became the proof that their excuses no longer hold power. It's not that you're too bright. It's that they've gotten comfortable living dim. They learn to survive in the shadows. So when someone walks in radiating self-awareness and authenticity, it feels like exposure. That's why they try to downplay you. They'll joke about your progress, question your motives, or pretend not to notice the transformation. It's all a defense mechanism, a desperate attempt to silence the discomfort your existence triggers in them. They don't want you dimmed because they dislike your shine. They want you dimmed so they don't have to confront their own dullness. It's easier for them to call you extra than to admit they've stopped evolving. But that's not your burden to carry. You didn't start glowing to make anyone feel small. You started glowing because you finally stopped betraying yourself. You earned your peace, your clarity, your aura. And if that light unsettles people, it's not arrogance. It's evidence that your presence holds truth. The same light that heals one person can expose another, and you can't control which it does. So keep glowing. The right ones will see it as guidance. The wrong ones will see it as glare. Either way, your brightness stays sacred. Number 9, they'll try to rewrite your story because they can't handle its truth. When the truth becomes too heavy for people to accept, they start rewriting it. The moment your journey begins to make too much sense, the struggles, the rise, the timing, they panic because it doesn't fit their version of how life should work. You weren't supposed to rise from that kind of pain. You weren't supposed to survive what destroyed others. So they do what fragile minds always do when truth becomes uncomfortable. They twist it. They'll turn your resilience into rumor, your discipline into deceit, your blessings into suspicion. They'll invent versions of you that make your success look accidental or undeserved because the real story, the grind, the isolation, the late nights of doubt, threatens their comfort. They need to believe there's some hidden trick behind your transformation because admitting it's real would expose their own inaction. The truth of your evolution makes their excuses feel thin, so they resort to fiction as protection. They'll speak with false confidence about things they don't understand, narrating your life like they were there for every chapter they skipped. It's not malice, it's insecurity dressed as authority. They need to rewrite your story to make peace with their disbelief. The idea that you did it without permission, without shortcuts, without crumbling, doesn't fit their logic. But here's the thing. The truth doesn't lose power just because someone edits it. Their distortion can make noise, but it can't change the record. Every lie told against you will age badly because time has a way of defending the authentic. The truth always waits, patient and undefeated. So let them rewrite. Their fiction only exposes their fear. While they're busy revising your past, you're busy expanding your future. Reality will keep favoring you because it always belongs to the one who lived it, not the ones who retell it. Number 10, you don't need to defend your name. Time is already doing that. There's a certain peace that comes when you stop explaining yourself to people who've already decided what they want to believe. You realize that truth doesn't need a lawyer. It just needs time. Let them gossip, let them guess, let them rewrite the script 1,000 ways. While they waste their breath trying to stain your name, time is quietly keeping the receipts. Every lie has an expiration date, and when that date comes, it collapses under the weight of reality. Defending yourself to small minds only drains energy that could be used for growth. Those who truly know you don't need convincing, and those who don't will twist your words no matter how pure your intentions are. So why argue with echoes? Silence, when it's rooted in self-awareness, is louder than any defense. Time is your witness, and it never loses a case. People forget that truth doesn't rush. It moves slowly, but when it arrives, it doesn't just correct, it exposes. Every false narrative that was once shouted will be replaced by the undeniable proof of your consistency. The same mouths that lied will have to speak your name again, but this time with respect. Because when time finishes its work, even your enemies will be forced to acknowledge what they once denied. You don't have to chase rumors or clear every misunderstanding. Time is already archiving everything. your patience, your endurance, your silence, and one day those archives will speak louder than all the noise. The lies will age, the gossip will decay, but your truth will still be standing, polished by every season you survived. Let them talk. It's temporary. Let time speak. It's eternal. When it finally does, truth won't return quietly. It'll come back wearing armor, carrying every lesson you learned along the way. Number 11. The noise around you is proof that your silence terrifies them. There's a certain kind of strength that doesn't need to shout, and you carry it naturally. It's the kind of power that unsettles people who rely on noise to feel relevant. When you walk in silence, when you stop oversharing, when you simply exist with purpose, it disturbs the ones who need constant validation. They mistake your calm for arrogance, but it's really just control. And that's what they can't stand. You didn't have to announce anything. Your energy did all the talking. Your silence reminds them that power isn't in performance. It's in presence. They can't measure you anymore, and that frustrates them. You're no longer reacting to provocation, no longer explaining every move, no longer participating in the emotional games that used to drain you. That absence of noise feels like a threat to people whose confidence depends on attention. The quieter you become, the louder their insecurity grows. So they make noise, not because you're wrong, but because your peace exposes their lack of it. They'll gossip louder, mock deeper, and project harder, hoping to pull you back into the chaos they understand. They need your reaction to feel relevant again. But your restraint has become your shield. Every time you refuse to respond, you're proving that they no longer have access to your peace. That's what really terrifies them, the realization that they no longer have the power to disturb you. Let them make noise. It's a distraction from their own emptiness. True power never explains itself. It simply is. And right now, your silence is saying everything. It's saying, I've outgrown the argument. It's saying, I'm not reachable by chaos anymore. The ones who once fed off your attention now starve without it. Your stillness is their exposure, a living reminder that peace is louder than pride, and silence in the hands of the wise is the ultimate roar. Number 12. You're living what they secretly dreamed but publicly mocked. In the beginning they laughed. They said you were delusional, unrealistic, or trying too hard. But deep down, those same people wished they had the courage to chase what you were bold enough to start. Mockery was never about your dream. It was their defense against their own fear of failure. It's easier to laugh at someone who's building something than to admit you never had the guts to try. And so, they turned your vision into a joke, hoping the noise would drown out the sound of their own unfulfilled potential. But time has a beautiful way of humbling doubters. The same ones who once laughed now whisper. They watch your steps, your strategy, your consistency, and they take notes, quietly, secretly. The same dream they dismissed is now the blueprint they study in silence. They mocked what they didn't understand, and now they chase what they can't catch. That's the irony of vision. It looks ridiculous until it starts working. You're not just living your dream, you're living their hidden wish. Every step you take is proof that their laughter was never truth. It was fear disguised as humor. They laughed because your confidence exposed their hesitation. They doubted you because your faith highlighted their disbelief. And now that your results speak louder than their ridicule, they don't know how to respond. The talk of the town always begins as the joke of the town. Every great move looks crazy to small minds until the prophecy hits, until the impossible becomes undeniable. That's when the laughter stops and the imitation begins. But by then it's too late to catch up. You've already turned what they mocked into a movement. So let them talk, let them whisper, let them mimic. You've become the living proof that the dream they once ridiculed was never foolish. It was simply too early for their understanding. Number 13. The more they gather against you, the more they reveal who's irrelevant. When people unite against you, it's rarely about justice. It's about jealousy finding company. They can't match your pace, so they form alliances built on resentment. The funny thing is, every time they mention your name, they make it louder. Every insult, every rumor, every whisper adds to your visibility. They think they're tarnishing your image, but they're unknowingly expanding your reach. You don't have enemies. You have unpaid marketing interns, working overtime to promote your story while pretending to destroy it. The truth is, powerful people rarely gather to talk about those beneath them. So if a crowd has formed just to discredit you, it means you've already surpassed their level. You've become the gravitational pull in their small universe. Everything they do orbits around your existence. Their obsession is evidence of your impact. Nobody plots against the irrelevant. Nobody attacks the unseen. Their focus on you is the clearest form of flattery there is. They'll host discussions, spread rumors, and build narratives, but all of it circles back to you. Even in their attempt to erase your influence, they keep it alive. The more they talk, the more they remind the world that you matter. Their hate has become free publicity. They keep your name trending while you keep evolving. That's the irony. They're doing the talking, but you're doing the becoming. Let them gather. Let them strategize. Their unity against you only exposes how powerless they feel alone. And while they bond over bitterness, you keep building in silence. The difference between you and them is simple. You're creating a legacy, and they're creating gossip. When time finally filters the noise, they'll fade into the background they belong to, and you'll still be standing, not because you fought them, but because you never needed to. Number 14. The investigation will end in revelation. When people can't understand your rise, their curiosity turns into obsession. They start digging, not to celebrate you, but to expose you. They'll study your past, your mistakes, your choices, looking for the flaw that explains your strength. They want to find dirt, because the truth of your growth makes them uncomfortable. It's easier for them to believe you cheated destiny than to accept that you earned it. They want a scandal, not a story of discipline, because scandal feels safer than self-reflection. But what they don't realize is that your life is layered with divine fingerprints. Every scar, every failure, every misstep was part of the architecture that built your becoming. The more they dig, the more they'll find the pattern, the one that proves your path was guided, not fabricated. They'll start to see that what they mistook for luck was alignment. What they called arrogance was awareness, and what they thought was coincidence was purpose unfolding. The same investigation meant to expose you will end up confirming what you always knew, that destiny was involved from the start. People forget that when light shines on truth, it doesn't reveal shame, it reveals structure. Your journey wasn't spotless, but it was sacred. Every piece of your story, even the parts they'll twist, fits perfectly into a design too divine to dismantle. They'll try to find evidence against you and accidentally collect proof for you. The testimony they think they're building will turn into your validation. So let them dig. Let them waste their energy trying to uncover what was never hidden, just misunderstood. Their investigation will lead them straight into revelation. You were never the suspect in their story. You were the evidence, the living, breathing proof that destiny doesn't need permission and that divine timing always defends its own. Every whisper, every rumor, every sideways glance, it all had a purpose. They didn't realize that by talking about you, they were building your legend. Every insult became free advertisement. Every attempt to expose you only revealed your truth. You stood still while the noise tried to shake you, and that stillness became your weapon. You didn't fight for attention. You attracted it through authenticity. You didn't need to prove your worth. Time did it for you. The same people who once doubted you are now decoding you. The same ones who mocked you now mimic your moves. They tried to turn your name into a scandal, and it turned into scripture. What they called arrogance was confidence. What they called luck was preparation. What they called mystery was mastery. You were never the villain in their story. You were the plot twist that their comfort couldn't predict. You've endured surveillance, suspicion, jealousy, and distortion, and still your essence remained untouched. Because when something is chosen, it can't be cancelled. The world may try to rewrite your narrative, but destiny holds the pen. Every attempt to bury you just confirmed that you were seed, not soil. Every false report expired, and every truth returned armored and undeniable. You became proof that the divine doesn't need to announce itself. It simply is. So, chosen one, walk on. Let the noise fade, let the truth echo, and let your glow remain untamed. You're not just the talk of the town. You're the test of perception. They watched, they doubted, they spoke, and still you rose. Because no rumor can outlive what's written in divine ink. If this message spoke to your soul, don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. Share this with someone who's misunderstood but destined. Let them know the investigation is ending and revelation has begun. Stay blessed always.